So I want to show you in this video how to combine your dopamine amino acids together and make it for a bulk capsule filler. So rather than just filling one capsule at a time, we're going to use a capsule filling device of some kind, and we're going to mix up 24 of them and pour it all in and make 24 of them at one time. So I want to show you the math involved, and it's not really complicated. So what I'm going to do is, I know that for my normal dose of tyrosine, I'm using this one right here. And for my normal dose of this, I take 90 grams of this, so I open up the capsule and I dump it out. For the L-Phenylalanine, I use 64 grams of this. And so what I've done is, you just add those together, 154 grams. That's the total amount that's going to be in any capsule. So what we have to do is, if we're going to make 24 capsules, that's what this holder makes. It's got 24 capsules in it. So I need to, for one batch, mix up enough powder. So I've got 90, and I used to do times 24, but I found it's easier to have a little bit of extra, because when they make capsules, you're gonna have some capsules that are a little bit over and a little bit under, and if you don't have a little bit extra, the ones that are a little bit over don't necessarily always compensate for the ones that are a little under. It's easier to have extra. So what I do is, I'll take the 90 grams times 28, so I have 4 extra doses in there, and you can do 2 extras if you want, but I just have a little bit extra. So that's 2,520 grams of the N-acetyl-tyrosine. Then I got 64 of the LPA times 28, that's 1,536. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take all of that together, I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to put this into my empty container, and I've already labeled it, and do label it. If I forget to label it later, I don't always know what the white powder is that's in the container. So I'm going to do some measuring. So we have our scale. We're going to get that reset. And I've measured it with a piece of paper on there, because I want the paper to not be weighed. If you haven't done that, if you just turn on the scale and you put the paper on, you notice the paper weighs 0.151. I'm just going to tare it, so the paper is now 0. So I'm going to start with my NALT, and I need a total of 2,520 NALT. So I'm going to start by doing that. Now that's not all going to fit on the piece of paper. I'm going to put what I can on there. So we're just going to start opening up capsules until the piece of paper starts to feel like it's, I don't want to put any more on the paper or it's going to overflow. So I'm just opening up the NALT capsules and dumping them out. Oops. Yeah, I could probably put just a little bit more on there. Yeah, I'm just going to stop there. Okay, so that's 15, 11, 12. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to pop up my calculator here, and I need a total of 2,520, and for my first batch I've gotten 1511. So I'm going to subtract minus 1,511 equals, so I need 1,009 left. So I'm going to take this amount here that I have, and I'm going to pop it in my container, And I'm going to attempt to do that without spilling it. And now I'm going to get the rest of my 1009. We're getting close. Okay, I'm going to call that close enough. 1010. And then we're going to put this in our container. Okay. So that gives me the null. I have that handled, my N-acetyltyrosine. And now I want to put together the LPA, the L-Phenylalanine. They call it LPA for short. And this one came as tablets, which was not preferred, but it's the way it came. So what I did was I took these, they were like capsules, not capsules, tablets, and I put them in my blender and I ground them all up into powder. And I now have powder. Ta-da! So I'm going to measure out the powder for the LPA. And I'm looking for 1,536. So we're back to our empty one here. And for this, I'm going to use a straw that I've cut the end of it to be a little diagonal. It makes it like a little serving spoon kind of thing. It's just a very handy way of distributing and removing powder if I need to remove it again. Now this is really fluffy. The other stuff was a little less fluffy. So I'm looking for 1,500. Can I fit it on the paper? Yes, I can. So I need 1,536. Ooh, very close. I'm going to call that good. So it's 1,536. I'm going to now, ever so carefully, ta-da. Okay, so we're done with this for now. So what I've done is I've mixed these two together in this container here, and then I'm gonna just shake it up. I want to mix those two powders together thoroughly. So I'll often just kind of wander around the house wiggling this box around for a while until I get all the contents so mixed up that I know they're solidly mixed up, that it's not going to be an issue. Okay. So my powder is well mixed now, so I'm all set with that. So now my next step is to figure out what capsule sizes I'm going to use. And for this, I've got 154 grams. So if I look at that, I can pack it in a number 4. I don't like packing generally in if I'm trying to be specific and precise. So I would generally avoid that. And I'm out of number 4 capsules, so that's kind of it's not an option at the moment. Number 3 capsules, 154, would fit nicely in here. It's somewhere between just lightly filled and tapping. So I just have to tap something less than 10 times and I'll be in my ballpark. Number 1 capsule is too big, so I can't measure it that way. So I'm going to choose to use a number 3 capsule. And what I've done is I've got, let me make this wider, is I get my capsules in bulk, so they're separated. So the bottoms are here and the tops are here. They come in a big bag. I just put them in a little container, and then I take the bottoms and I fill this thing in totally until all the holes are filled in and the capsules are flush with the unit. And then I'm simply going to take the powder that I've well mixed up and I'm going to pour it on top. And I'll do it this way so you can see. And I usually try to distribute it around a bit. If you dump it all in the middle, then the middle becomes a bit more there we go. And then I'm just going to level all this out. And all the extra I'm just going to scoop off into this extra area. Now this is not going to be correct yet. This is going to be lightly filled, so this is going to be closer to 1024. It's going to be in that ballpark. It's not going to be where I need it. I'll have to tap more. But I want to get a sense of when I've never done this before. This is literally the first time I've done this. So I want to get a sense of exactly what's going on. So I'm gonna tap this just to settle it a bit. So I did 2 taps there. I'm gonna keep track of that. And I'm gonna set it down. And I'm gonna put a lid on one of these things. I'm gonna measure it. So I'm gonna take one of these out. Okay. So on my scale, I've taken an empty number 3 capsule and I've put it on there and I've tared it so that this is, I'm not going to be weighing the capsule, I'm just weighing the contents in there. And actually the contents are 146 and my target is 154. So actually that's already really quite close to where I need. And again, it's going to be a little bit different depending on all the powders. The humidity in the room is going to change the measurements. There's a lot of different factors that change that create variability in what the weights are actually going to be of a full capsule. So I've pushed them back down. I did 2 taps before, so it was full lightly, and then I scraped it off. I did 2 taps. And I'm going to bring my leftover back up again, and I'm going to refill everything. And this is less than ideal. I've got less than I want. So there are some that are not full and some that are full. I lost a little bit down in here. It's another reason that I make extras. But my sense is that, I don't know, let's try it. Let's see what this is. I'm going to tap it in and then set it down. Now these here were full, so I'm going to see what the full ones are. And I'm going to re-tear this with number 3. Let it reset. Okay. And 161. So that's a little bit over. So that was full plus 2 taps and then refilling again to 161. Now that's within my ballpark. That's within the range that's workable for me. I'll usually give plus or minus 5 for my target or plus or minus 10. For dopamine, I'll do plus or minus 5 because this is kind of specific. So this is, it's borderline, but another thing that you can do is when you're first doing this is you can keep track of like what your readings were for it. So let me show you how I do that. So I'm going to get a piece of paper. Open this up a bit more. So this one was 161, I think I said. That's funny, now it reads a little bit different. 159, you can't see that. 159. So it's about 160. That's actually within my range. So there's, you can see just by picking it up and setting it down, I get a little bit of variability. And now we get 160. Okay, so I'm going to call that within my good range. So my target here is 154. And I'm willing to go up to 160 and down to 150. So I'm going to say this is just inside my range. And now I'm going to put caps on some of these other ones and measure these. So that's 170. So that's above. That's higher than my range. So I'm going to put that in the pile over here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find I'm trying to come up with like a pattern or a formula for how to do this in a predictable way. So there's a certain amount of variability when I use the machines. And 162, that's over. And so I'm looking for how many taps do I need to actually get it where I ideally want it to be. 168, that's even higher. So these are all ones that the dose is too high, so I won't use those. I'll put them 158, that's workable. Or I'll use them sometimes if I'm going to do a workout and I want a higher energy day, then, so in this case, I would actually probably save these because they're close enough. They're just a little bit over. 160, that's within my range. 167, that's over. 157. 58, that's within. 154. Okay, so you get the gist of what I'm actually looking to do here. So what I can say is that having done it this way, 166, that's over, that my formula of filling it all completely and then tapping it twice and then filling it a second time seems to actually get a majority of what I want in the ballpark. Because I have a lot of them that don't, or that are a little bit high, what I might choose to do is I might choose to maybe fill it and then only tap it once and see what that does. That's a little high. And it's in the low end of my range. So I would say my formula for doing this next time, now that's low. That's out of range in the wrong direction. So this is, I'll dump that back in like that. I would consider that unusable. I'll open it up and I'll dump it back into the container and reuse it next time. 158, that's workable. 151, that's workable. 154, I can do that. 145, I'm going to say no, that's out. 145, no, that's out. And 147, that's out. Okay, so what I've got is these are ones that are in my ideal range. These are going to work. These are too light. I'm going to dump these out. And these I'm going to put in another envelope, and I'm going to label these for when I want a stronger dosage. So if I want to go do a workout, I would take one of those rather than that. And it would give me a little bit more energy. It pushes the edge a little bit, but it would give me more energy. So that's the way I use this thing here. And then I'm just going to take the the extra, tap it out of there. Tap it down. And then put it back in there. As well as the ones that I don't want, I'll just open those back up and I'll dump those back in my recycling container. So the next batch that I make of this, I'll put it in the same container again, and I already have some as a head start. So it's okay. Like, I'm not wasting anything. Not that I care, it's a very tiny amount, but that's... So for next time, there's that. So then in the future, my formula that I'll write down for using this machine is that I'm going to fill with 1 tap, and then I'll weigh that and I'll see it might be on the too much on the light end, or it might still have this balance. I'm looking for 1 tap or 2 taps that will get me into my optimum range. And that's basically how you use the filler and how you mix together your 2 things. So here's how I label the final product. I simply have taken the Nalt LPA mix. I like to put on the bag the size capsule that I put it in, and I'll actually write the formula on the bag. And so I'm going to write light fill plus 1 tap. So it's a fill plus 1 tap. It's kind of scribbly, but so this is my 150 to 160 range, and this is my 160 to 170 range. And I'll actually sometimes like it because Body will sometimes look at both packages and choose the bigger one or the smaller one. So it gives my body more choice. If the other ones were a little bit lower range, like maybe they were 145 to 145 to 150, I could have made another packet of slightly lower ones and given Body a choice. In this case, I already know that this is already on the low end, low to actual. So if anything, I want to go higher. So that's the reason that I just discarded the rest of them or recycled the rest of them. So that's how I keep track of it. And so have fun mixing your things. You get to play like chemistry master / drug dealer, and make your own capsules. And this is by far the easiest way to do it. You can even get the bigger ones that do 100 at a time. So do play.